Welcome back everybody. Today I'm going to be cooking Jamaican mackerel with sweet potatoes. Now this is a very spicy, fruity dish. It's going to take you straight to the island of Jamaica. You're going to think you're there when you're eating this. First thing is our mackerel fillets there. Now I know in Jamaica this would be, they call it a poor man's dish and they would use tinned mackerel. But I'm using fresh mackerel. It's still cheap. I mean, 2 of these fillets is about £2 in the UK, so it's still a cheap dish. I've got 8 mackerel fillets there. I'm cooking for 4 people, so it's 2 fillets per person. So all that for about £8. You can't argue with that. That's cheap. Right, we've got 2 medium-sized white onions. I've got 3 nice tomatoes there, ripened on the vine. 6 cloves of garlic. I'm going to be using a tablespoon of tomato puree, a tablespoon of sugar to balance out the acidity in our plum tomatoes, which I've got 2 tins of. I'm going to mash those up with a potato masher. I've got Jamaican jerk seasoning. I'm going to use a tablespoon of that. Sea salt, black pepper. I've got 30 grams of parsley. Going to go on at the end. Thyme. Fresh thyme, about 30 grams, probably won't use all that, but it's there. Those are my sweet potatoes. I've got a kilo there, works out about 8 potatoes, so 2 potatoes each. They're not huge, so I think 2 is a good portion. I've got 6 spring onions, green onions, scallions, whatever you want to call them, 6 of those. And last but not least, our beautiful Scotch Bonnet Chillies. Now they're very spicy, but they're also very fruity. Now I'm putting 3 in because I love it spicy. You might just want to put 1 in. I mean, they're very hot, but they're lovely and fruity. You need those for the flavour. So yeah, I'm going with 3. If you don't like spicy at all, you could put a whole 1 in and then take it out at the end just to put a bit of flavour in. But mine are going to be sliced thinly. They're going in. I'm also going to finish off with some butter right at the end, a few good knobs of butter to give our sauce a silky texture. Got my chopping board, my carving knife, well, my chef's knife, sorry. Jug there for my tin tomatoes. Now, if I was cooking this for 2 people, I'll be using a frying pan because I'll be using half the ingredients for fillets. And I just thought there's no way that's all going to fit in the frying pan. So I'm going to be using my cast iron casserole dish, which can go on the hob. Don't worry, it's not going in the oven afterwards. So it's all done on the hob. Got a saucepan there for my potatoes, some olive oil for frying off our onions and garlic. That's the rundown of our ingredients. Very nice flavours here, very healthy dish. It's lovely, fruity, spicy, really nice. So there we go, let's get cooking.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, first things first, I'm going to peel my sweet potatoes and I'm probably going to cut them into thirds or quarters, depends on the size. I'm going to leave them in cold water till I'm ready to cook them. Now I'm going to cut my onions. I'm not going to dice them, I'm going to cut them in half, down the middle like that, and then I'm going to slice them. So that's how we're going to do our onions. Garlic is going to be thinly sliced. We're going to get some of this thyme, get a good handful of the thyme leaves picked off, just scrape them down the stalk. I'm going to get a good handful of those picked off. And then spring onions, I shall do them a bit later. I'm also going to get my plum tomatoes in there and I'm going to mash them up. I prefer using plum tomatoes. You can use chopped tomatoes if you want. So I'm going to mash those up. And then I'm going to chop my vine ripened tomatoes into chunks. So I'm going to get on with that and I'll see you when it's all done. Right, here we go. So I've chopped up everything apart from my Scotch Bonnet Chillies. My parsley has been washed and picked. Thyme, washed and picked. My spring onions, I decided to chop them up now, get it done. There's my nice ripe tomatoes, cut up into chunks like that. My onion, 2 onions, cut in half and sliced into like half moon shaped pieces that will all break up in the pot. There's my thinly sliced garlic, 6 cloves there. And that's my 2 tins of plum tomatoes. Give them a quick mash, break them up a little bit. Obviously our sugar and our Jamaican jerk seasoning, sea salt, black pepper, all ready to go. Chilies can be cut up in a minute. They're going to be sliced thinly. As you can see, my sweet potatoes I've peeled and cut into pieces. They're now sitting in cold water. They only take about 15 minutes to boil, so once our sauce is bubbling away, we'll get on with those. I'm now going to put my heat on the hob to medium. I'm going to do a good glug of olive oil, 2 or 3 tablespoons, straight in with my onions. Now I'm going to break these up and fry them off. We don't want to brown them up really, you want them sort of translucent. They start to soften. But after 5 minutes I'm going to chuck my garlic in there so it can join up with the onions, and then fry that off for a little bit longer. So I'm going to give these 5 minutes on their own first, so I'll see you then. Okay, our onions have had about 5 minutes on a medium heat. As you can see, they soften right up, nearly there. At this point I'm going to go in with my sliced garlic, and I'm going to give that about another 3 minutes. If you need to add a drop more oil at this point, go ahead if your pan is getting a bit dry. So let's just release the aroma from the garlic. We don't want to burn the garlic. Doesn't mind if it's a bit golden, but you don't want to burn it. So you can smell the garlic already. So I'm going to give that about 3 minutes or so, and I'll see you then. Right, so that's been about 3 minutes. You can smell that garlic now. I've just got some colour on the pot there. If you was using a non-stick pan, you wouldn't get that obviously, but nothing's burnt. My garlic's fine. Now, I'm going to go in with a couple of good pinches of our thyme, probably about half of it. Half of our picked thyme leaves. Now it's going to start smelling really good. I love the smell of that thyme. Might start popping in the pan or the pot, whatever you're using. And right now I'm also going to go in with my tablespoon of tomato puree. In that goes. So we can cook it out a little bit. We're going to add another little dash of oil. Cook out that puree. Now it's smelling good. Just cook that out for about 30 seconds. All coming together now. And then once that's cooked out, our fresh tomatoes, in they go. Now I'm going to just soften these in the pot for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to add my tin tomatoes. So I'll see you when I've softened these. While our tomatoes are softening up, sort of low to medium heat there, I'm going to go over here and start slicing up my Scotch Bonnet Chillies. As you see, I've got a glove on because I don't want this in my eyes if I accidentally touch them. First I'm going to cut off the little stalk, then I'm going to cut it lengthwise down the middle, and then I'm just going to slice it thinly, just like that. Oh, you can smell that now. As soon as you cut into these, you can smell that lovely fruity aroma. You know it's going to be fruity and you know it's going to be hot. So I'm just slicing them like that. So cut down the middle and then just slice thinly. So I'm going to carry on, cut those up and add them to my dish straight away as soon as I've cut them up. See you then. Right, those are my Scotch bonnets. As I said, That's quite a lot, and these are very hot, so you might want to just use one if you don't like it too spicy, but it's supposed to be spicy. It's from Jamaica. Right, in they go. I'm going to mix them in. It's smelling amazing already. And then I'm going to go in with a few good pinches of sea salt, like that. And plenty of freshly ground black pepper. I mean, we're going to taste this before we serve it, so you can always adjust your seasoning later. So yeah, I'm going to go in with that. I'm going to give this 30 seconds with the chillies in, and I'm adding my tinned tomatoes. So see you in 30 seconds. Right, let's add another 30 seconds. I'm going straight in with my mashed up plum tomatoes. In they go. And at the same time, my tablespoon sugar. In that goes. I'm going to bring this up to a gentle bubble, and I'm going to add my jerk seasoning. So yeah, a couple of minutes, get this up to a simmer, and see it in. Okay, so our sauce bubbling away gently. I've moved it to the burner at the back. It's on a low heat. Just want it bubbling away very gently. I've moved my potatoes to the front heat, the front burner, drained them off. I'm going to go in with my tablespoon of jerk seasoning, which has obviously got allspice in it and other things as well. Mix that in. You can check it if you want to add a bit more later. You can if you like the flavour. Anyway, that's going to just simmer away gently. And in the meantime, a couple of good pinches of sea salt in there. Got a kettle full of boiling water that I've just boiled up. Heat full on. In with my boiling water. I'm going to bring these back to the boil and then keep them bubbling away, medium heat, for about 15 minutes until you put a knife through them or a fork. And they'll be done. We'll drain them off and leave them to keep warm until they're ready to serve. Not far to go now. Soon we'll be adding our fish to this sauce. It smells really good. So I'll get these on the go and I'll see you in a minute. Right, we're nearly there. Sauce bubbling away gently on the front burner. My sweet potatoes bubbling away just like that for about 3 minutes. As I said, they're going to have 15 minutes altogether. Now, the mackerel. Now you've got some options here. Traditionally, as I said, it would be a big can of mackerel, jack mackerel, and there would be big chunks, and you would break it up into smaller pieces. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my mackerel up into pieces and put it in so it all breaks up. You can try and put these in whole and hope for the best that they stay in one piece so you can get them out and serve them as an entire fillet, but I think they're going to break up anyway. Otherwise, you can pan fry these in a frying pan separately, place them on your plate and just spoon some of this spicy sauce over the top. If you don't want the skin, you can put them in whole, break it up as it cooks and then pull the skins out afterwards. But I've decided to cut mine up into pieces and I'm keeping the skin. So skin and all, I'm cutting my mackerel fillets up. I'm going traditional. So it's going to be in pieces. Would have been a bit nicer for the presentation, obviously, with whole mackerel fillets. But as I said, traditionally, it would be a tin mackerel and it would be broken up into pieces or chunks anyway. So I'm just going to carry on, cut up my mackerel, in it goes into the dish, and then it won't take long from there. Potatoes have got another 10 minutes, 10 or 11 minutes. By the time they're done, this will be done. We'll be adding our spring onions and butter and parsley towards the end. So I'll see you then. Okay, Our sweet potatoes are done, drained off. I've put them back in the pan on a very low heat just to dry off the moisture. Leave them there for a second. Our fish has had about 10 minutes bubbling away like that. Now your fish should be done now if you've cut it up like this. It should be done. So give it a little mix. Still not finished yet. Spring onions. In they go. Another mix. Keep it simmering away. And then straight after that, our butter. I put about, I don't know, 50 grams or so. A couple of good chunks, or one big chunk of butter. Give our sauce a nice silky richness. So in goes the butter. We're nearly there. Just going to let that butter melt in. And we're going to finish off with a little bit of freshly chopped parsley, which I chopped while this was cooking away for 10 minutes. My parsley's over there. Butter's almost melted in instantly. Potatoes are starting to sizzle, so it tells me that they're dry. Turn off the heat. This fish is definitely cooked. Some of it's starting to fall apart. So yeah, I don't think trying to put it in whole would have worked. It's supposed to be in pieces like this anyway. So, it smells really good. And it's really spicy.
Hot and spicy meat. Yeah.
As I said, you don't have to have it this spicy. You can put one chilli in if you want, or even half. So, give it a little sprinkling of fresh parsley. And save the rest for a bit of garnish. So that is that. That is done. I'm going to turn off the heat now underneath that. And I'm going to start plating up. And we'll see what the final dish looks like. See you then. And there we have it, everyone. Jamaican mackerel with sweet potato, Scotch Bonnet Chillies. It smells really good. I can't wait to try this. As I said, I've tried it with the tin mackerel. I think this is going to be even better. I've seasoned my potatoes with a bit of salt and pepper, knob of butter on there. I've garnished the dish with a bit of parsley and a few more little bits of fresh thyme. That's ready to eat. Almost. Got to serve this with a Jamaican red stripe beer, of course. And just imagine you're sitting on the beach in Jamaica in the sunlight, eating this. Brilliant. Can't wait to get stuck in. Don't forget to subscribe, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.